Everyone knows the myth. 300 brave Spartans volunteered to die heroically at Thermopylae, buying time for Greece. Hollywood made it beautiful. History made it legend. But here is what they do not tell you. Leonidas did not volunteer for a suicide mission. He was sentenced to one. The 300 did not choose to die. They were chosen to die. And the traitor who supposedly betrayed them? He might have been the only honest man on that battlefield. So before you get comfortable, take a moment, like the video and subscribe, and let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. It's always fascinating to see who's joining us from around the world. Now, let's ease into today's history journey together. 480 years before Christ, the Persian Empire has already swallowed half the known world. Egypt, Babylon, the Indus Valley, all of Asia Minor. An empire so vast it takes a messenger 3 months to ride from one end to the other. Now it turns its eyes west, toward Greece. The Persian king Xerxes does not just want conquest, he wants revenge. 10 years earlier, his father Darius sent an army to punish Athens for supporting a rebellion. The Greeks defeated them at Marathon, killed 6,000 Persians. The humiliation still burns. Darius spent the rest of his life preparing for a second invasion. When he died, Xerxes inherited both the throne and the grudge. For 4 years, Xerxes builds. He conscripts soldiers from 46 nations: Egyptians, Phoenicians, Indians, immortals from Persia itself. The army grows to numbers Greece has never seen. Ancient historians claim 1 million men. Modern scholars say closer to 200,000. Either way, it is more soldiers than all of Greece combined can field. But numbers are not Xerxes' only advantage. To reach Greece, the Persian army must cross the Hellespont, the narrow strait separating Asia from Europe. Xerxes orders his engineers to build a bridge. Not a small bridge, a bridge of boats. 674 ships lashed together, stretching nearly a mile across open water. When a storm destroys the first attempt, Xerxes has the engineers beheaded and orders his men to whip the sea itself 300 times for disobedience. Think about that. An empire so powerful, so arrogant, that it punishes the ocean. When the second bridge holds, the Persian army crosses into Europe. It takes 7 days and 7 nights for the entire force to walk across. The Greek city-states watch the reports come in with growing horror. This is not an army. This is the end of the world. Greece has maybe 70,000 fighting men total, scattered across dozens of independent city-states that hate each other almost as much as they fear Persia. Athens and Sparta have been rivals for generations. Thebes sits on the fence. Argos refuses to help. Half of northern Greece simply surrenders without a fight, offering earth and water to Xerxes in exchange for mercy. The Greeks who choose to resist face a simple math problem. 70,000 against 200,000. On open ground, they die. The only hope is terrain. Find a place so narrow that Persian numbers mean nothing. A place where a small force can hold against a massive one. They find it at Thermopylae, the Hot Gates, a coastal pass in central Greece, barely 50 feet wide at its narrowest point. Cliffs on one side, sea on the other. If the Greeks can hold that pass, they can funnel the Persian army into a killing corridor. Numbers will not matter. Only who can fight in that narrow space. But holding Thermopylae requires a sacrifice. Someone has to stand there knowing reinforcements will never come in time. Someone has to buy Greece the weeks it needs to evacuate Athens, to rally the fleet, to prepare for the real war that comes after. Someone has to die. This is where the Oracle of Delphi delivers her prophecy, the one that says either Sparta falls or a Spartan king must die. And this is where King Leonidas, 60 years old, father of 2 sons, reformer, threat to the political establishment, receives his death sentence dressed as divine will. But here is what makes this truly insane. Leonidas knows he is being set up. He reads the prophecy and sees the political assassination hiding behind religious language. He could fight it, expose it, refuse. Instead, he does something no one expects. He embraces it. But on his terms, he announces he will take 300 men to Thermopylae, and every single man he chooses is over 30. Every single one has living sons. Every single one is a voting citizen with political power. If these men die, their families will ask questions. Dangerous questions about prophecies and politics, and whether the gods really demanded this sacrifice. Leonidas is building a time bomb, one that will detonate long after he is gone. The Ephors, the politicians who orchestrated this, realize too late what he has done, so they make their own preparations. They send a secret message to a Greek named Ephialtes, who lives in the mountains near Thermopylae. The message is simple. When the time comes, show the Persians the hidden path around the pass. Make sure Leonidas cannot retreat. Make sure every single one of those 300 men dies exactly as planned. 3 weeks later, 300 Spartans march north. None of them know that the traitor who will doom them has already been paid by Sparta. The 300 arrive at Thermopylae in late August. The pass is exactly as described. Cliffs on the left, sea on the right. A corridor of death may be 15 meters wide at its narrowest point. Behind them, 7,000 allied Greeks from other city-states. Thespians, Thebans, Phocians, men who answer the call but know they are here to die. Leonidas surveys the ground and makes his decision. They will build a wall. Not a tall one, just waist-high. Enough to break the Persian charge, to create a barrier where Spartans can stab over the top with their longer spears. The men work through the night, hauling stones from the cliffs, mortaring them with mud. By dawn, the wall is complete. That is when they see the Persians. The army fills the plain to the north like a dark sea, campfires by the thousands. The sound of 200,000 men preparing for war is like distant thunder that never stops. Xerxes sets up his golden throne on a hill overlooking the pass. He wants to watch. Day 1. Xerxes sends heralds to the wall. They offer terms. Lay down your weapons and you can go home. The Spartans do not even pretend to consider it. Leonidas shouts back, "Come and take them." The Persians attack at noon, wave after wave of infantry, Medes from the east. They charge the wall screaming, certain their numbers will overwhelm the Greeks in minutes. Instead, they hit a bronze threshing machine. The Spartans fight in rotation. 8 men across the width of the pass. When the front line tires, they rotate back and fresh men step forward. The Persians cannot do this. They have no room to maneuver, no space to use their numbers. They push forward and die on Spartan spears. When the spears break, the Spartans use swords. When swords break, they use their shields as bludgeons. By sunset, the ground in front of the wall is covered in Persian dead. Thousands of bodies. The Spartans have lost 11 men. Xerxes cannot believe what he is seeing. He sends his immortals, the elite 10,000. The soldiers who have never lost a battle. They attack at dawn on day 2, same result. The immortals crash against the Spartan line like waves against a cliff. They break, they die. By noon, Xerxes withdraws them in shame. This is when Ephialtes arrives at the Persian camp. He is a Greek, a local who knows the mountains. He asks to see the king. The guards laugh at him. But desperation makes men listen to fools. Ephialtes is brought before Xerxes and he says 5 words that change everything. I know another way through. There is a goat path, high in the mountains, narrow, treacherous, but it exists. It circles around behind Thermopylae. If the Persians take that path, they can come down behind the Greek position, trap them, slaughter them from both sides. Xerxes asks the question anyone would ask, why are you betraying your own people? Ephialtes has his answer ready. The Spartans refuse to let him fight beside them. He has a twisted spine, a deformed back. In Sparta, imperfect men are not warriors. They mocked him, sent him away. Now he wants revenge. It is a good story. Xerxes believes it. Every Greek who hears it later will believe it too. For 2,500 years, Ephialtes will be remembered as the traitor whose petty grudge doomed the 300. But here is what Xerxes does not know. Here is what history does not record. 3 weeks ago, Ephialtes received a visitor in his mountain home. A Spartan messenger. The messenger carried a pouch of silver and a letter sealed with the Ephors mark. The letter was very specific. Wait for the Persians to be frustrated, then offer the path. Make it seem like revenge. Make sure Leonidas cannot escape. And when it is over, take your silver and disappear into Persia. Live like a king on Spartan gold. Ephialtes is not a traitor to Greece. He is an agent of Sparta, ensuring the martyrdom goes exactly according to plan. On the night of day 2, 10,000 Persian immortals climb the goat path. The Phocian Greeks guarding the trail hear them coming. They loose a few arrows, then run. By dawn on day 3, the Persians are behind the Greek position. A runner reaches Leonidas with the news. They are surrounded. Most of the allied Greeks abandon the pass immediately. 7,000 men flee south. Only the 300 Spartans remain, and 700 Thespians who refuse to leave them. Leonidas knows what comes next. He orders his men to eat a full breakfast. Someone asks why. He says, "Because tonight we dine in Hades." The Persians attack from both sides at once. This is not battle anymore. This is extermination. The Spartans do not hold a line. They cannot. They form a circle on a small hill and fight in every direction at once. Spears snap, swords shatter. Men use their hands, their teeth, rocks from the ground. Leonidas is hit by an arrow, then another. He fights on his knees, then on his back. The Spartans form a wall of their own bodies around him. The battle becomes a feeding frenzy. Persians pouring over the hill, stabbing down into the circle of dying Spartans. By noon it is over. Every single Greek is dead. The Persians have lost 20,000 men in 3 days to kill 900. Xerxes walks through the carnage. He finds Leonidas's body, orders the head cut off and mounted on a stake as a warning to other Greeks who think about resistance. But here is what Xerxes cannot see, what the Persians do not understand. This was never about winning. This was about making the death so expensive, so horrifying, so legendary that all of Greece would hear about it and rage. And it works. Within days, runners carry the story south. The 300 who held the pass for 3 days. The Spartans who chose death over surrender. Athens evacuates. The fleet mobilizes. Every Greek city-state sends whatever men they have. The sacrifice at Thermopylae becomes the rallying cry that unites Greece. But hold that thought, because here is what they found when archaeologists excavated Thermopylae in 1939. Mixed in with the Spartan bronze and Persian arrows, iron shackles, slave chains, dozens of them. Some of the men who died at Thermopylae were not there by choice. They were helot slaves, chained to their Spartan masters, forced to die for freedom while being denied it themselves. The greatest sacrifice for liberty in Western history was built on slavery. And when it is over, they will discover something else. Something that reveals Leonidas knew exactly what he was creating. Not just a military stand, but a myth so powerful it would hide the truth for millennia. Within 3 months, Greece defeats Persia. The united fleet destroys the Persian navy at Salamis. The combined Greek army crushes the Persian ground forces at Plataea. Xerxes sails home in disgrace. Greece is saved, and everyone agrees on why. The sacrifice at Thermopylae. The 300 who bought time with their blood. Leonidas, the hero king who chose death over surrender. The myth is perfect, clean, inspiring, and Sparta makes sure it stays that way. But 300 years later, a Spartan king named Cleomenes III is ransacking the old archives in the Temple of Athena. Sparta is collapsing. The Helot slaves have rebelled. The old political system is dying. Cleomenes is looking for ancient laws, anything to justify reforms. Instead, he finds a wooden box. Inside, carved tablets, very old. One of them is a prophecy from Delphi dated to 480 before Christ. The prophecy about the Persian invasion. Cleomenes reads it, then reads it again, then sits in silence for a very long time. The original prophecy does not say either Sparta falls or a Spartan king must die. It says, either Sparta falls or a Spartan king must choose. One word, different, crucial. Cleomenes realizes what this means. The entire sacrifice at Thermopylae was built on a lie. The Ephors altered the prophecy. They sent Leonidas to die not because the gods demanded it, but because he was politically inconvenient. He finds more documents. Letters between the Ephors and a Greek named Ephialtes. Payment records. Instructions. The traitor who supposedly betrayed Greece for Persian gold was actually paid by Sparta. To ensure the 300 could not retreat, to guarantee the martyrdom happened exactly as planned. Cleomenes brings this evidence before the Spartan council. He expects outrage, demands for justice, an acknowledgement that their greatest moment was a political assassination dressed as prophecy. Instead, the Ephors have him arrested. They burn the documents. Cleomenes is declared insane and is forced into exile. Within a year, he is found dead in Egypt. The official story says suicide, but his body shows signs of torture. The evidence is destroyed, the truth is buried again, and for 2,000 more years, the myth of Thermopylae remains untouched. Until 1939, Greek and German archaeologists begin excavating the site of the battle. They find bronze spear points, Persian arrowheads, shattered swords, everything you would expect. And then they find the shackles, iron slave chains, dozens of them, mixed in with Spartan equipment. At first, they do not understand. Then they realize. Some of the men who died at Thermopylae were helots, Spartan slaves. They were not volunteers. They were property, chained to their masters, forced to die for freedom while being denied it themselves. The greatest stand for liberty in Western civilization was built on slavery. The report is published in a minor German archaeological journal in 1940. Then World War II begins. The findings are forgotten, lost in larger horrors. But the question remains, did Leonidas know? When he chose his 300? When he selected men with living sons? When he marched them north? Did he know that slaves would be chained to the battlefield? Did he understand he was creating a myth built on a lie wrapped in a half-truth? The answer is yes. Of course he knew. Because that is what makes the story truly devastating. Leonidas was not a dupe. He was not a simple hero. He understood exactly what was happening. The ephors were trying to murder him quietly. So he decided to die so loudly, so spectacularly, so perfectly that the truth would not matter. He turned his assassination into the most powerful propaganda in human history. A story so beautiful that for 2,500 years, no one wanted to question it. A myth so perfect that even when evidence of the lie surfaced, people buried it again rather than face the truth. This is why we do not teach the full story of Thermopylae, because the real story is not about heroism. It is about how empires manufacture martyrs, how governments weaponize sacrifice, how the men who die for noble causes are often dying for causes that are not noble at all. Within 50 years of Thermopylae, Sparta and Athens went to war with each other. The unity forged by the Persian invasion collapsed into civil war. The Peloponnesian War destroyed both cities. Greece tore itself apart. Within a generation, all of it, the sacrifice, the unity, the freedom they fought for, was ashes. Persia did not need to conquer Greece. They just had to wait for the Greeks to destroy themselves. Xerxes lost the battle but won the long game. So here's what I want you to think about. Was Leonidas the ultimate hero who chose to make his murder meaningful? Or was he the ultimate victim who got so good at lying to himself that he became his own executioner? When you die for a cause, does it matter if the cause is real? If the sacrifice inspires others, does the truth of how it happened even matter? Is a beautiful lie that saves civilization better than an ugly truth that destroys faith in everything? The 300 bought time with deaths that were both forced and chosen. The millions who came after bought freedom with a myth that was both true and false. Remember both. Remember the cost. Remember that Leonidas was a hero and a victim and a liar and a martyr all at once. And remember that the hardest truth in history is not what happened. It is why we choose to forget. If you made it this far, you are not just a history enthusiast. You are someone who can handle the truth even when it is ugly. Hit subscribe to keep these buried stories alive. Drop a comment. Was Leonidas a hero or a victim of his own government? Because 2,500 years later, we are still asking, when empires fight, who really wins? And what does victory cost the men who achieve it?